We are at an inflection point, I believe, in the world economy. Not just the world economy, in the world. It occurs every 3 or 4 generations. There's a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there. There's going to be a new world order out there.
In times of crisis, the role of governments is more important and more relevant than ever. What is also needed is a summit like this one to go beyond crisis management and to look into constructive ways we can build our common future.
This is not a drill.
I think once you're superfluous, you don't have power. Again, we're used to the age of the masses of the 19th and 20th century, where you saw all these successful massive uprisings, revolutions, revolts. So we are used to thinking about the masses as powerful. But this is basically a 19th century and 20th century phenomenon. I don't think that the masses, even if they somehow organize themselves, stand much of a chance.
My friends, unfortunately we live in a society where it is being encouraged by the Matrix for you to be mentally weak, for you to crumble under the weight of your own emotions. We live in a society that tells you that it's okay to be mentally ill, that it's okay to not be okay. But I'm going to offer you the solution. I'm going to offer you the red pill, the pill of truth, which encourages you to be strong, which encourages you to have control of your own emotions. Come with me on this journey of self-enlightenment and choose strength. Choose to resist this slave mind. Today's woke era is known as the time of cancel culture, offense, moral degeneracy, and most of all, weakness. Those who subscribe to wokeness think that they are propagating a more refined and morally conscious society. However, we are doing nothing but regressing in our resilience and concept of reality. What's worse is that the woke agenda is being pushed forth as a weapon of manipulation and control by those who want you weak, subservient, and compliant to their control. The Matrix knows that they are lying to you, and they are willing to have you deceived in order to control you. The agents of this Matrix, this global elite, have utilized the global instability and panic of the last few years to push forth new ideologies of fear, forced compliance, and ideologies of wokeness in order to propagate their agenda of creating a new world order. A new system of power with global elites at the top, with absolute power, while the rest of us are productive cogs in their machine. A system in which we will own nothing and like it.
Let's also be clear. The future is not just a future. The future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room. But 2 conditions are necessary. The first one is that we act all as stakeholders of larger communities, that we serve not our only self-interests, but we serve the community. That's what we call stakeholder responsibility.
So let's take a look at some of the lies that wokeness has sold to us. We have seen woke culture focus heavily on normalizing, and quite frankly, glorifying mental illness. You see, the daily life for the average human used to be extremely stressful. To be honest, the life of the average king in the ancient world was harder than even the poorest of people today, most of whom have running water, electricity, and the ability to communicate in the palm of their hands. However, even with the immense stress of the life of the ancient world, even coming up into the last 50 years of our history, mental illness used to be exceedingly rare and carried a stigma associated with weakness and shame. Now, I'm not saying that mental illness doesn't exist, but I am saying that the woke culture makes it seem as if it's more common than it actually is. So now if you look at today's world, everyone has a mental illness, since the Matrix has led you to believe that it's normal through cultural programming. Now, more people than ever before are using the excuse of mental illness as a crutch and as a coping mechanism for their inadequacies, when before they were pressured to adapt, improve, survive, and be self-aware and in control of their emotions. Anxiety and discomfort are normal physiological responses to stress. When you have to work double shifts to get bills paid for your family, it is perfectly normal to feel overwhelmed and both physically and mentally exhausted. Or if you're a soldier on the front lines of combat, to defend your people group from conquest and annihilation, you are totally expected to feel immense anxiety and apprehension. But when we make them our slave masters, we become indentured to our emotions, rather than empowered and motivated by them. You see, it's now the trending theme to be depressed or to have anxiety, with people putting their various mental illness diagnoses in their social media bios, as if it's a badge of honor. 42% of Generation Z has received a mental health diagnosis, and 60% of Gen Z reports taking medications to help them regulate their emotions and mental state. I dare say that a population that is constantly zombified and placated by medication and sedatives is much easier to manipulate, control, and coerce. Particularly when the powers that be control access to the pharmaceuticals on which people become dependent. For example, many medications like benzodiazepines and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, also known as SSRIs, are prescribed to treat mental illnesses. These medications are well known to cause physiological dependencies, and it is documented that they cause a horrible withdrawal upon cessation. A very large portion of people that take the psychiatric medications that they are prescribed for their various mental illnesses rely heavily on government-sponsored insurance to afford these medicines. And also the pharmaceutical companies that produce and market these pharmaceuticals are sponsored by big government. Yet another way the Matrix can control the populace and keep them subservient. This plan is so evident in that we even see the agents of the Matrix themselves speak openly of their plans to control the masses with drugs and pharmaceuticals.
Again, I think that the biggest question maybe in economics and politics of the coming decades will be what to do with all these useless people. The problem is more boredom and what to do with them, and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they are basically meaningless, worthless. My best guess at present is a combination of drugs and computer games as a solution for more. It's already happening. Under different titles, different headings, you see more and more people spending more and more time or solving their inner problems with drugs and computer games, both legal drugs and illegal drugs.
As I've mentioned many times before, what the Matrix fears most are strong, masculine, dangerous men that have the heart, the mind, and the physical ability to resist tyranny. However, we even see the New World Order targeting the strength of men for destruction with their ideology of mental illness, mental weakness, and mental slavery. Terms like toxic masculinity have become mainstream in recent times, with the Matrix pushing forth a narrative that encouraging the values that have always been desired in men since the beginning of history is negative, harmful, and causes trauma. Values such as strength, determination, stoicism, dominance, and durability under adversity are painted in a light of negativity, and instead weakness, emotional vulnerability, and fragility are encouraged. The narrative of toxic masculinity that the Matrix pushes forward essentially says that encouraging men to be what men have always been throughout history causes mental illness, causes mental damage and trauma to men, and that instead men should be soft, they should be effeminate, and they should be okay with expressing vulnerability. And if you really think about it, of course the Matrix would encourage men to be soft and effeminate, because these kinds of men aren't at all a threat to their power. Never has any revolution against authoritarianism and despotism been won by a bunch of pussies. Toxically masculine men, strong, dangerous men, are a real threat to those who seek absolute power. And for that reason, They oppose upon us a slave-minded ideology of mental frailty. So what can you do to pull yourself out of the lies about your own mind that the Matrix has convinced you to believe? You can take control of your emotions and refuse to be ruled by them. Understand that stress, anxiety, and even sadness are a natural response to the events of life. But know that success has nothing to do with how you feel. You see, becoming a superior in life is a consistent journey of doing what you have to do, when you have to do it, whether you feel like it or not. And every emotion you feel can be forcibly transformed into motivation and propel you forward. Let your stress over bills motivate you to work towards a life of financial freedom. Let your feeling of depression over not being able to attract a girlfriend motivate you to become the most ripped, sexiest, and most high-status guy you can be, so that every woman you meet will be irresistibly attracted to you. Let your anxiety over social situations motivate you to study and learn to become such a brilliant communicator and conversationalist that you become the center of attention and are respected in every room that you enter and never have a problem with confidence again. As I always say, if in your own mind you make everything that happens to you, good or bad, completely your fault, you give yourself ultimate power to create the life for yourself that you desire. Though we live in a world that wants to make you weak, my friends, I am always going to say to never believe in things that take power away from you. Choose to be strong. Choose to be a conqueror. Choose to be a superior in every situation. Believe in ideologies that give you the most power. Choose to resist the slave mind. So go forth and conquer, my friends. The world is yours.